Good morning, Jerry. Happy opening week.
Well, it is good to be on with both of you, and I can't believe 11 years strong. What a way to say that.
All right.
And
You haven't got rid of us yet.
that fires me up. And let's get 11 more in here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank God. I got to retire then.
Absolutely. Jerry, did it feel like I normally get in a really, you can ask the people around me and my family and my coworkers, I get in a really bad mood when the NFL season is about to end, and it feels like the months after, I just dread it, and it feels like it takes forever because the NFL is my favorite sport by far. But this year, it kind of felt like it went a little bit faster. Did the offseason speed up or slow down for you?
Well, I think that this is the busiest I've ever been. This is my busiest year in terms of just things that involve the NFL. And so I think it is getting busier, and it's getting more convoluted, which is not a bad thing, but there's a lot going on. And it seems the more, let's say, substantive you are, the more you have your fingers in, so to speak, and the NFL does. We're a really substantive point of entertainment. That carries a lot of opportunities with it, but it also means a lot more attention to it. And then, of course, this thing has gotten a little more convoluted relative to putting a team together and keeping it together. You've got a lot of turnovers, so there's a lot more personnel work to do than there was 15, 20 years ago. So it's a busier time. It goes faster for me.
Jerry, how much bigger, just an NFL side note, how much bigger can this thing get? Right. I mean, it already dominates. People in our industry make job decisions based upon the offseason and getting ready for the NFL. You, whether you want to take credit or not, keep a lot of us, in the news with your quotes and interviews in the Cowboys spotlight. How much bigger can this get, if at all?
Well, first of all, thank you. I hope so. That's intentional. We certainly want to be on the minds of sports fans. We want to be on the minds of people that are partial sports fans. I want something about the Cowboys in every house organ, every journal, everything that I can put it in, even though they may not be avid fans. When they do look up there and have a choice and look at that television, they'll know the Cowboys were interested enough to be involved in their business. So I like all that, and I think it's important. But there's a lot of growth here, and there is certainly a different way to present, let's say, the games themselves. And the game continually evolves. It does, in my mind, it gets better. So there are all kinds of ways or points about what we're doing here to expand upon or adjust on, get better at.
Is there a take us through, this week before the game for you? Is it nervous excitement? Is it anxiety leading up? I know, but the week before, a big vacation or whatever, a big thing, I get mad anxiety. Is it excitement for you, or are you anxious for this game to happen?
I don't ever leave it. I don't care where I'm located or what I've got maybe front and center that day. Everything we do stays with you all the time, and you're constantly noodling or constantly making notes as to some of the things you're deciding on. As you know, we're still adding the roster. We did it as late as yesterday. And that's continual. You're continually doing that, continually making those adjustments. But we, from here on out, this team has a chance to still be coming together as late as December in terms of any personnel changes, personnel additions or subtractions. And then you're continually looking around the corner ahead. You can't ever just be sitting here in September and not be looking at, really, if you will, next training camp. And so all of this is a part of it. It's a ball. Don't get me wrong. I haven't worked a day in my life. I say that to work today since buying the Cowboys. It's a labor of passion.
Jerry Jones with us on Shan and RJ 105 through the Fan. Jerry, can you take us through how you got Jason Peters locked up in terms of speaking with him and what you think he adds to your football team?
Well, he's a phenomenal player. He was in high school. He was defensive lineman of the year in Texas when he was recruited, and he went to Arkansas. Of course, I was there. Really, always had my eye on him and always looking at him. And of course, we played him twice a year, so we really had to look at him. And it was a phenomena. He really wasn't as highly thought of when he came out of Arkansas as he became almost immediately. Kind of a surprise to have this kind of success in the NFL. So bottom line is I've known him very well all these years. And, he played tight end early, so that shows you the kind of athlete. Played defensive line, that shows you the kind of athlete. Mark 2 and A type stuff for us. And then to continue his he's so efficient. He's just very efficient to have all that athletic ability and that size, and smart as well, and just pretty much got it on. You think the ability to just manage yourself physically and be able to still be playing, and he plays a position you can play a long time if you're efficient and you have the good luck of durability. He does have that. Knock on wood here. And so he can really help you. You can imagine in a position in a game that takes repetition to get better and better and better. You really never quit getting better from the standpoint of mental in the offensive line. Well, look what he brings to a snap when he walks out there and been doing that 20 years. And, boy, you can see it. It just reeks of mental capability.
Jerry, what is y'all's plan for him in terms of getting in shape, and timeline of getting on the field?
Well, we want to be prudent and be recognized that this isn't his first year. In other words, we've got to ease him along. Hooker is a good example of that. But Hooker was coming off an Achilles injury. And so when he came on last year, we eased him into it, and of course he had an outstanding year. But we did ease it into him. We had him in training camp early, and you just saw the kind of patience you want to have, because you don't want to just do the obvious, and that is go out there and have an early setback. And you should honor the years that he's played relative to that risk. With all of that in mind, we'll be hard not to have him in. It has a lot to do with how well Smith's playing at left tackle. It'll have a lot to do with this overall year. Will have a lot to do with how Tyron Smith is coming along.
Yeah.
And Tyron's going to be able to be out there doing some work relatively soon. And I'm not trying to rush anything, but he is. He's going to be able to keep in pretty good physical position and shape and condition during this time. So you got Tyron, you've got, and then we've got a couple of young guys out there that I want to see some snaps if possible. Hope we don't have to have them. But I think we've got a couple of young guys that will ease along here. So I think this really lets us be in manageable shape at our left tackle, and we could really keep your fingers crossed. We could have this thing pushed up just about right to be really deep and good there by the time we get to getting close to playoff time.
Jerry Jones here on The Fan. Jerry, what have you seen from Tyler at tackle in practice recently?
Well, you see in practice ever since he's been here, you see his power. You can see his shortcomings, but boy, those are really fixable shortcomings relative to technique, just if you will, tricks of playing the game. And one thing that I don't want to underestimate about Tyler Smith is how intelligent he is. This guy's exceptional. And, boy, that plays a big role in how you adapt and how you adapt to really adjust to what you're playing against, not only in preparation for the coming week, but during the game, adjustments, as well as just in his case, getting his foundation right. And, of course, Peters will really be able to help him along the lines there. And our coaching is really oriented toward helping young players. If they have a strength, it's young player strength, our coaches.
Jerry, I know you're very optimistic by nature. Is your optimism for the season the same this year as it is for basically any other year, or is it different this year?
Well, let me just address the first way you stated the question without any issue on it. But I have to believe 1-1 is 3. I can't operate where 1-1 is 2. Now, we all know it is physically, but the 3 is where you have to go. Now, you have to have optimism to operate out in that world and commit and do things when you got to count on 1-1 being 3. And I'm not trying to play games, but that's where the biggest payoffs is out there. If it's there for everybody to grab, at 1-1 is 2. So here you go. You got to look for the best or look for the best outcome. What you have to do, though, is be ready every time that if you don't get that outcome that you hoped might be there or were optimistic about being there, then what do you have to do? You have to create some kind of net. And I've been fortunate in my life. I've operated with at times without a net, and it didn't get me. But I've had close calls.
What is the net for a lot of questions on the O-line, some inexperience at receiver? What are the and an older running back that not older, but a running back that people are counting out? What is the net for those issues?
Well, the net is Zeke. The net is running game. The net is play action. The net is giving some help. Those are nets. The net is tight ends. The net is Pollards and running backs and Zeke and others. The net is we've got a quarterback that puts the ball to the best receiver, not necessarily to the best open player, not necessarily the best receiver. Now, if everybody's running their routes out there, then he can get it to the right receiver for the particular defense. That's a pretty good safety net. You got to do that, and you got to get the ball out. The longer you hold that ball, the more you need a veteran offensive lineman. That's net.
Jerry, you mentioned Zeke there, and you've mentioned in the past that you use the quote "We go as Zeke goes." The league has gone very much skewed towards the past first type game. Are you guys just kind of zigging when the rest of the league is zagging there?
No, but we've had success doing that, by the way. And I know when we first got here, you didn't play small. You didn't play with speed at linebackers on defense. We added smaller players and speedier players on defense. League wasn't going that way. So that served us well. That's just an example. But, boy, that's the art of the deal, is to try to come in with something that gives you that edge, that continued edge. My main thing is I like to see adjustments made during the season and during the games more. And we've had a lot of times where it just seems we were pretty set in how we and what we were doing and didn't make those adjustments. Now, that's easy to do when you're losing a ball game, is to second guess it. But fundamentally, I like to see us have some flexibility. I think that's, again, going back to that net definition. I think some flexibility, ability to adjust in games when we prepared, and it's not working for us. I think all of that will help us, the opposition, from just depending on where we've got a obvious frailty. We've got to go away from that frailty. Now, this is just obvious fundamental stuff, but the game is designed to do different things. If you get stopped real good doing what you plan to do, you've got to do it a different way.
Jerry, you mentioned the youth and how your coaching staff is set for that. Before Jason Peters, I'll check afterwards. You guys had the third youngest team and roster in the NFL. Does that get Coach McCarthy a little more grace period to start off with the amount of youth that you guys are putting out there?
Well, I think that I don't need that he needed more grace period, candidly, one way or the other. I think that we've got a team by design. We could have had a different team, as you well documented, and the media has documented, and our fans. We could have had a different team had we wanted to. We signed 4 or 5 of the veteran players that we didn't sign, but we needed to make some changes, and we have. And the best way to make it is with youth. Youth costs you a little bit to play with it, especially early, but we know that too. And so we think this is the best way with this team, this quarterback, this talent. We think this is the best way to go, and it's the best way to go for looking around the corner at the next years to come. So the answer to your question is youth. It fits our design right now, and we're going right to plan as we speak.
Jerry, some would say that, and we benefit from this, as I said to start the interview, that, the Cowboys can be, a busy place, little circus, some distractions. I preface that with this Tom Brady question, as he's been in the news and leaving training camp. With your history of dealing with so-called distractions, is this an opportunity for you guys, Jerry? Do you think this could set Tampa back a little bit with all the stuff that Tom has been in the news and the headlines for?
Well, I think that if anybody is thinking that we have more said about us or more visibility, if they're saying that, that's exactly what I try to do. And I do want to keep them talking about the Cowboys and have from the day I got here. And so, again, I'm smiling and I'm saying it with all the positive in the world. If we've got them talking about us, we're doing our job. And you asked, does that help hurt the performance of a player? Frankly, I've seen it get us players that we might not have gotten, that interest, that visibility. I've seen it work. I know that we get higher intensity at practice when we have thousands of people watching our two-a-days as opposed to not having people watch there. The pride in a player just makes him want to be his best when he's out there in front of 2,000 or 3,000 people.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is all of this goes. I had the pleasure of getting to play on a team that when you practice, you'd have 2,000 people watching you practice, be 50 feet away from you when you were practicing. That caused me, I was an overachiever, to play harder, and I probably played at that level, whereas if it had been at a smaller level, nobody watching practice, I probably wouldn't have been as good a player.
Jerry,
it motivated me.
Yeah.
And so I think it does motivate. You've got pride. You've got all those things. And you need to call on everything to do this game. Now, this is a physical game, and you do have to do unnatural things. You're supposed to get out in front of 300 pounds, not get in front of it.